The 14th is that whenever such issues take place in the Ummah, we find many people who take active part, alhamdulillah, but we have to realize that this is a specialized work. Muslims should collaborate, but we should not spend our complete time only doing this and leaving the other activities. For example, if I am in Dawah organization, now what I do for the next 6 months, I stop my Dawah activity and only concentrate on this, then it will be a great loss for the Ummah. So what we require specialized Muslim organizations for organizing these things, or rather we'd like to say organizations for firefighting. And these organizations should be specialized in taking care of such issues, like someone insults the Prophet or someone does Islamic blasphemy. These organizations should mainly cater to this. They should, right from the starting, use the social media, should be able to see to it that our programs go on air, on the satellite, on the newspapers, as articles, whether they have a protest, whether they organize boycotts of the products of that country. So these organizations who are specialized in dealing with anyone who has insulted the Prophet or anyone indulging in Islamic blasphemy is very important. Like when we have our conference, we have the Peace Conference, which is one of the largest Islamic English conference in the world, where we have more than 1 million people coming over a span of 10 days. In this, we have approximately more than 4,000 volunteers. And we have about 30 to 40 different groups. We have 30 to 40 different committees, whether it be hospitality committee, whether it be transportation committee, whether it be food committee, whether it be toilet committee, many committees. And one we have which is called as firefighting. This firefighting has a separate head altogether, but when required, it has the heads of the other committees also joining. So similarly, we should have specialized organizations who are specialized in dealing with how to handle such situations. And these organizations should have maybe a few cyber troopers, depending upon the organization, should have few lawyers. These cyber troopers should know what is trending in the social media, how do they utilize it and how do they convey the message. They should have few lawyers. Now these lawyers may not be high-end lawyers, they may have medium-level lawyers, like anyone who insults the Prophet or anyone who attacks any other dai. There should be legal action taken. So such organizations should be there in most of the Muslim cities. Most of the cities which have majority Muslim, they should be there, or should be in the cities where Muslims are in minority but then large numbers. So these organizations, the main aim is to handle this throughout the year. So when such issues as President Macron takes place, all the Muslim Ummah joins. Some may join for 5 days, some may join for 6 days, some may join for a week, for 2 weeks. But you can't expect the Muslim Ummah to leave all the activities and full year be after this issue. That will be a loss. Imagine someone is doing dawah, someone is doing some teaching, someone doing Islamic teaching. If you stop all these activities for 1 year and every year there are some issues. So at this time, all should get together for a few days or for a week, but there are organizations who should handle this situation. And they should be able to see to it that they take the impact to the highest level. And in this organization, they should have contacts as volunteers, top lawyers, top politicians, top Muslim leaders. They will come when required, but they should have full-time few cyber troopers, full-time few lawyers, and they should coordinate and see to it that the end result is achieved. And the 15th point is that on a higher level, all the Muslim countries should unite and they should have a bloc. I know that there are certain organizations which are there, but I believe they have become inactive. This collaboration of the Muslim countries together, there are today 56 to 57 countries in the world which have majority Muslims. We should all join together so that if any action is taken, if we take it unitedly, we'll have a bigger impact. And I believe that this should be away from the normal politics. What has happened now, that there are certain organizations, but they're more involved in whether will it benefit my country or not if I take objection, will it benefit the leader of the country. They are more bothered about the personal benefit of the country than the benefit of Islam. That's the reason. Unless a person loves the Prophet more than he loves himself, loves his father, loves his children, loves the humankind, he is not a true believer. And if we realize that there are certain countries, it's not necessary all 57 countries should be together. Let's start with 5 countries. It will become 6, it will become 10, it will become 15. Let them come together and en bloc condemn rather than individually. In such cases, if we come unitedly, we are a bigger force. If there is a boycott of products or a trade sanction or helping each other, if the countries are united, the Muslim countries, we are a bigger force. And imagine 25%, more than 25% of the world population are Muslims. If we unite, we can do wonders. And I would like to give you an example in history. What is the impact when Muslims are united? We know that the 34th Sultan of the Ottoman Empire, his name was Sultan Abdul Hamid II. He was the last Sultan which actually had powers. He was the third last Sultan. There were 2 sultans after that, but the person who had some power and say, after that it kept on deteriorating. He was the third last Sultan, but the last Sultan which actually had powers. And we know that he ruled from 1876 to 1909. In his reign, towards the end of the 19th century, in late 1800, there was a comedy play that was supposed to be held in France on our beloved Prophet Muhammad. It was a satire, a comedy play insulting a prophet. And when Sultan Abdul Hamid II heard about this, he got very angry and he wrote a strong letter to the French government saying that this is not tolerated by the Muslims and you should not let this play take place, and I'm totally against it. Initially, the French government tried to give excuses, but they realized that the Sultan was serious. And what did they do? They immediately did not allow this play to take place. And they completely abolished the comedy play, to the extent that most of the actors and the people involved, they exiled them to UK to please the Sultan. Few years later, again news came that the same play is going to take place in UK. So again, Sultan Abdul Hamid II, he got angry and he wrote a similar letter to the UK government that we have heard that there is a play which is criticizing the Prophet and this is not tolerated in Islam, and you should immediately see to it that this play doesn't take place. The UK government, the British government replies, when Sultan said that this was happening in France and now it's coming in UK, it should not happen, and they stopped it, you should stop it too. The UK government replies saying, UK is not France and we believe in freedom of speech, indicating that they will continue with the play. Sultan Abdul Hamid gets very angry and he writes a second letter. He says, you may not be aware that my ancestors, they gave their life for the cause of Islam, and I am prepared to do the same. If you do not stop this play, see to it it is not done, I will inform the full Muslim world that you are doing a play against the Prophet and you will be held responsible for the consequences. Then the British government realized that the Sultan was serious, and they were so much afraid of the Muslim unity that time that they immediately banned the play. Imagine, one sultan says that. Because that time, if you know, it was the end of the Ottoman Empire. That means the last, it wasn't that powerful at all. Yet, just because the sultan gave a warning, I'll inform the full Muslim world that they're doing a play which is against the Prophet and you will be held responsible for the consequences. That letter was sufficient to bring shivers in the full government. Imagine. At that time, end of the 19th century, you know, the UK government, the France government, they were powerful. That colonies in so many parts of the world, they were even ruling India. But the Sultan writes a letter at that time, even though it's towards the end of the Ottoman Empire, yet they're afraid. And today, we hardly see any Muslim leader speaking. Just 1, 2, 3, or yes, a few here and there. But they are speaking individually. Imagine if all the Muslim leaders in the world, even half of them, get together and give a warning. There will be a world of a difference. Today, the Muslim leaders are more involved. Will it benefit me? Will it not benefit me? Will I remain in power? Will I not remain in power? They are more bothered about their seat here. They are not bothered about the akhirah at all. Imagine, our beloved Prophet said, anyone who does not love Allah and His Messenger more than he loves himself, loves his father, loves his children, he is not a mu'min. How can we Muslims keep quiet when someone is blaspheming against a Prophet? What has happened to the Muslim Ummah? That's the reason when I gave my actions, the lower actions are mainly for the common man. And see this example that the Muslims are united. What an example. Even though towards the end,